sinners, and saints. Dust off those horns and halos. It's time for Alan After Dark.
How best to describe two of the guys that came into happy hour last night? Do you know Porter Wagoner, the guy who used to sing with Dolly Parton? Picture Porter Wagoner as a televangelist with the personality of a serial killer, and you might have the first guy.
I'm sorry, what?
The second guy could have been the crypt keeper, or, you know, the scary guy in Poltergeist 2. You're all gonna die. That guy. That could have been him.
Oh my God.
Or maybe he was just a victim in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
What is this?
What in the hell is this, bitch?
Could have been. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that I totally had a concept of what those two men were like just based on their appearance. For the one I deemed Porter Wagoner televangelist serial killer, I have to add that he did kind of join in the conversation. And I was talking about a coworker who had been murdered by her son. Her and her husband had been killed by him, and how brutal he was in dissolving their bodies in this homemade acid he had created in these plastic tubs. And he said, that's kind of a waste. I just use my bathtub when I dissolve my tricks that I didn't really enjoy.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah, he really said that. Now, I'm pretty sure that he was joking, but what if he wasn't? You know that kind of shit happens all the time. I can remember, especially in my younger years in the clubs, that there were predators who came into the clubs. They were hunting. They were preying on people who were just trying to have a good time. And I got to thinking about the whole idea of the people that we meet or the people that we see and how we perceive them versus how they really are. Of course, you know, I'm saying this, but I can never really know unless I was to really, like, I guess, become a stalker or be a nosy type person, a busybody, and try to find out about them, or maybe do it an old-fashioned way and just talk to them and say, hey, and get to know them better, even though I think in this day and age, that seems a little bit weird too, right? Maybe just a little bit, possibly. But I always found it very peculiar how I'd had a one-night stand with a certain guy and never saw them again. I just thought people would keep coming back to the club, even if we did have a one-night stand. It doesn't mean that I was going to be all up in your business, trying to hover over you like some vulture or something. But then again, you never know with people's behavior, even my own, what I would have done. But I've noticed the last few weeks grocery shopping, and now you all remember I shop early on Saturday mornings, right around 6 a.m. And the last few weeks, there's been this elderly gentleman, and I know, I guess I sound, I mean, I hate using the word elderly, but there's no other way that I can put it, I don't think. He's a bit short. He's very, what's the word? He doesn't get around very easily. He takes tepid steps, and it's almost like his grocery cart he uses almost like a walker. It helps keep him up, walking. If it was to go astray, he might fall. He seems very old, but he has stuck out to me because I've watched him. It seems like we have the same timing, and we tend to use the same checkout lane. And in the mornings that early, you have to check out yourself. They don't have any cashiers in the grocery store. And he is very slow, very cautious, but he gets it done. He comes in, he gets his groceries. It just takes him quite a bit longer than it would for most of us. And I think about him. I wonder if maybe his wife recently passed away, or if his partner, I mean, you never know these days. He could have had a husband instead of a wife. You never know. But anyway, I was just assuming that it was a wife. I guess I just assumed things like that. And I wondered, what if his wife had died? And maybe that's why he's shopping Now it's because his wife used to do the shopping, and if she's not around, he's having to do it. I felt bad for him, but I have to admire him. He's getting the job done. He's doing the work. It just takes him quite a bit longer. And I worry that when he's in a car, does he have adequate reaction times? But that's something that we're all going to have to worry about, aren't we? As we get older, this country, the United States, and the South especially, there isn't much public transportation. How are you supposed to get around in any kind of easy way without driving yourself? Honestly, a bus? Well, how many buses are there in my area, in this city? Not very many. And the schedules are, I would think, not very convenient. So it would take up your whole day. I don't want to have to imagine myself that way, but I think the fear in me does. Seeing him really does give me an incentive to really try to be healthier, try to stay in good shape. But time is cruel, isn't it? Time is a cunt. I mean, honestly, it's vicious. It wears on our bodies. And if you are still alive and you're in your 80s or 90s, the horror I feel of being like in some home somewhere, unable to take care of myself, and hearing the nightmare stories coming out of nursing homes of people being abused and robbed. It seems like a fate worse than death, honestly. I guess at the end of the day, if we've made it through and we've survived and we've accomplished what we needed to accomplish, we've been a successful person that day, right? But just look at what I assumed about this man just by what I witnessed. For all I know, he could be this wild, crazy swinger in his 90s. Maybe they use his body as a coat rack and 35 people hump all over him until he's covered with jizz and pussy juice. Oh God, did I just say that out loud? Jesus. But isn't it fascinating the assumptions I made just by watching him? Just by witnessing what he did, basing it all on, well, more than superficial. I mean, his physical ability. He did really seem feeble, but still, that was assumptions, a perception I had of this man that I was watching. Have you ever thought about the people that you just have a casual conversation with at the bar, a club, or just in passing? What if they were a serial killer? What if they were checking you out to see if you were an easy target to be robbed? Those kinds of things happen. And being elderly, a senior citizen in this country in particular, you're viewed as an easy target for robbing, attacking, being brutalized. People prey on what they believe is the weak. And I wonder sometimes, I guess if you are in that predatorial type of mind and you're at a bar or a club, you're scoping out the people. I wonder how they do it. Do they look at like me or someone my age and think, oh, there's an easy target? Do they look at somebody who's really drunk and maybe throwing around money? Do they think that's an easy target? Sometimes they do. I mean, I've mentioned things that have happened to me, like that hustler who tried to lift my wallet while he was blowing me. I mean, damn, he was sucking my dick, but trying to steal my wallet, even though there was only like $5 in it. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I actually wonder about things like that, and I guess that's what makes me such a cynical person, right? But it does make you hesitant, doesn't it? It makes you pause to think about some of the people that you've chatted with. And we've talked about it before here on the podcast, that I think you should trust your gut instincts. And if your gut instinct is saying something's not right with this person, you go with that. You steer clear of that person. I do believe that there are instincts like that you can feel, a vibe. But I also think that we are blinded by beauty. And I think that people will sometimes ignore red flags because they're just hot for the guy and want to get into his pants. Jesus, I'm guilty of that. I am. I'm saying all this shit as I'm getting ready to get dressed to go to happy hour. That makes me pause too, doesn't it? And if you're wondering, yes, I'm planning on wearing my tidy whitey, well, my white boxer briefs again tonight. I felt so sexy last weekend that I'm going to do it again tonight. Woohoo. It's the little things that get me going.
Yeehaw!
And I hope you're all feeling great. I hope you're feeling sexy and funky Cole Medina and horny if you want to be. I hope you're getting ready to go out to happy hour or hang out with friends. And I don't know why I'm saying this part so late in this episode, but here we are. I guess I'm getting a little bit more excited about happy hour, and I'm just wanting to share that excitement with all of you. And I hope you can take it.
Yeehaw!
Oh, but God, it's bear night too. Oh, sweet Jesus. There's going to be some people there that I don't really like. Ugh, damn. That's okay. There'll be a few that I do like. There's always somebody I like. And hell, I like me, so that doesn't matter at all. Does it? Or does it? Not sure. Anyway, with a bunch of bears together, there's always drama. Hell's bells with a bunch of gays together, there's drama. Doesn't have to be, but there always is. Snapping at each other and whispering their little gossip, and I'm just sitting there going, who's going to show me their dick? Hell's bells. How many times do I have to say, life is short. Suck as much dick as you can. You're not guaranteed a tomorrow, so you might want to jump on that dick tonight. Right? Right. That's my incentive for going out tonight. I had planned on not going out tonight. It's been all rainy all day and it's kind of gray, and I could just lay around the house and chill, watch some Shudder, a horrible old horror movie or something. But I've decided I might as well face the horrors of bear night at happy hour. And speaking of perceptions, I know that people will judge you based on how you dress or how you behave. Like if you are a certain age, or if they perceive you to be of a certain age. Let's say they believe that you're 65 and you come in wearing skin tight jeans and a muscle shirt. They will mock you as if you are behaving in a way that's not reflective of your age. And I say, fuck that. There's no guidelines on how you should behave or how you should dress at any age. If anything, you should defy those. I've seen people that I went to school with, and, you know, of course, we're the same age, and I'll bump into them. They don't necessarily recognize me, but they're dressing, the guys are dressing like middle-aged and old men. Now, that's me judging them, but don't judge me if I don't dress the same way you do. I think it's great that people kind of create their own characters, their own form of drag, whatever it might be. If I decide to wear a kilt one night, if I decide to wear skinny jeans, well, fuck you. It's my business, not yours. And most people seem to like it. I mean, I don't want to be walking around looking like I've got a muffin top, and fortunately I don't, but even if I did, so what? Get the fuck over it. Worry about your own self, right? Who am I kidding? There's nobody going to do that, right? If you're willing to judge people based on how they're dressed, you're willing to judge people based on anything else. But then again, dissing people can be fun. A little gossip, a little shade, that's all fun. If it's done in the traditional dramatic gay way, you know, we've all done that, right? And if you can dish it, you better be able to take it out. And trust me, I can take it. I know a lot of people who can't take it, and that's their problem. That's their hang-up. But boy, are they missing out on a lot of fun by not engaging in a little shade and a little hilarity at any moment. But bless their hearts. I can imagine some of them going home and pacing around their bedroom, seething because somebody made a wisecrack that was funny at their expense. Those might be the ones who turn out to be the murderers, right? You know, it's kind of cool tonight. It's all this rain and the cloudiness. I wonder, maybe I should wear a long sleeve. I don't know. I might wind up burning up too. It's always these little things that I worry about, right? But that should be about my comfort. Once again, though, I'm being a hypocrite right here. I want to look sexy, so I'm going to wear what I think is a sexy outfit for people to look at and maybe like, even though I'm way beyond that. I'm like one of the old bitches at the party who's standing behind the punch bowl and we're guessing people's weight, that kind of shit. But I'll tell you this, I will not be drinking like I did last night. Holy shit. Oh, it was bad. But enough of that. This is becoming too random, isn't it? Boy, I'm really off tonight. And you're all going to judge me harshly about it. Some people do already. Oh, and I apologize. If you hear me sipping, I'm not drinking. Well, I'm drinking, but it's not alcoholic, okay? This question came up about pineapple. If you eat pineapple, does it make your cum taste better? Does it really? I really want to know. Everybody insisted that it does. But my question is, what's the timing here? How long does it have to be in your system? Or do you have to continue to eat it like on a daily basis? But still, you eat other things too. It can't be just one thing. So how does that really work? We got any professionals out there? Any experts who know the difference? I mean, I'll say this. I've had an encounter with a guy who was, I guess he was a druggie, not just weed, but other things. And he kind of deceived me and jizzed before I realized it. And I had to spit that shit out. God almighty, that taste was horrendous. I probably could have gotten a heroin high off of it myself if I'd swallowed. Jesus. I guess, though, we all worry about people's perception of us because we're afraid of being an outcast. Maybe you're afraid to be the only one. Maybe we're all afraid to be left alone, like ignored, treated differently, banished, if you will, from our groups and things because of a perception of us, or maybe we got really drunk one night and said something really stupid, and instead of people just saying, you know what, you were really drunk, they use it against you. However, I do think even at that level, some of your real personality comes out. And I do know of a person who went on a bender around a friend and the friend's family. And he went on this tirade of insulting his friend's boyfriend and just saying all kinds of bad things about a lot of the family and everything. I don't blame the friend for cutting him out of his life. What was even worse is that he didn't even offer an apology. And he probably doesn't even remember all that he said, but that doesn't excuse it, does it? Even when you're drunk and you're that cruel to your friend saying that his boyfriend's a scumbag and you belong with me and making this scene in front of everybody, yeah, that's not going to win you any favors anywhere. You could have actually, maybe when you were sober, talk to your friend and say, hey, I have feelings for you. But my feeling would have been that if you had been friends for as long as you were, that both of you would have sensed something more intense than just friendship. And when one side didn't and doesn't show that interest, you probably should have known that up front. So when I found out about this, when I was told what happened, it made me look at that guy very differently. And I have cut him out of my life because there is that sense of trust, well, lack thereof, lack of trust, that makes me not want to speak with him or anything. But it did cause him to be an outcast. And we all take that, I think, to heart. If two of my besties, I mentioned a person's name, and if either one of them said, oh my God, no, you shouldn't be hanging out with that person, that's all I need to know. If they're telling me that, I know that this person's bad news. I know that it's not coming from a place of gossip or falsehoods or lies, anything like that. They know something that is a true warning sign, and I can take that to the bank. And I have to be honest about myself too. When it comes to my romantic relationships, I've not been the best judge. Obviously, most of them have ended in disaster. A few, we just kind of parted ways and we're still friends, which is great. So I do count on people sometimes for things like that. But I'm also a stubborn old goat who sometimes won't listen to the truth. And because I understand that my judgment may be clouded sometimes, I have to rely on friends to sort of shine the light on things. And I hope that makes sense. I just realized something. Going back to the pineapple thing, I just realized I have a pretty super sensitive sense of smell. And they always talk about when people eat asparagus, how you can smell that in your urine. Well, I'm able to smell that, and it's disgusting. And I realize that sometimes your pee does smell differently, doesn't it, when you eat certain things or drink certain things. So, not Googling it or anything, I would assume that if you eat a lot of sweet things, like pineapple and such, that you probably do affect the flavor of your man shake. Wow. Talk about a tits up episode. This has really become that, hasn't it? All this about perceptions, though, right? That's what I was talking about. Well, right now, we're talking post happy hour, and full confession, I got fucked up. But did meet a couple of guys from Chicago, and they were fantastic. They were really friendly and talkative, and I'm sure that they came back for the drag shows later on, that they probably did a 3-way, a 4-way, or a 5-way. And I'm all happy for them. But by that point, I was moaning and groaning in bed. Oh, just from being old, that's all. Not from having a good time. Jesus. I guess the old saying is true. You can't judge a book by its cover. And you really shouldn't, should you? There could be lots of things wrong with a person that you don't realize just by looking at them. There have been plenty of people wearing 3-piece suits and the fanciest name brand clothes, and still could be a murderer, a killer, a rapist, a robber, hell's bells. Most of the time, things like that are done more subtly, so it's not like some blatant grab you by the throat, pull a gun on you. They trick you into spending money on them. A gigolo, hustling, and none of them have any kind of refund program or any kind of money-back guarantees. I mean, that one guy, he flashed his wiener, and I said, if I sued you, I'd have to do it in small claims court. So I really need to take my own advice, don't I? Don't be smitten by a pretty face. Always be on guard. Not willing to accept bad behavior just because it is a pretty face. In fact, I would probably thump a numbskull if they were to try to rip me off now. You might get away with that 20 years ago. I worked too damn hard for my money, and I'm not about to just give it away to someone just because they got a pretty smile, a nice ass, and a big dick. Did I really just say that? This was one random episode of Alan After Dark, and I hope you all got something out of it. I've had a good time. I hope you have too. I'll try to do better, but you know what? The next episode, I may be drunk, so who knows? All I can say is, remember, take life by the balls and be real. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.